Want to welcome everyone to tonight's Artist Talk for our current exhibition, Unfurled. This Artist Talk is being recorded and will be available on Artistry's website later this week. You're welcome to keep your videos on or off, whichever you prefer, but please be sure your microphone is muted. Also, we recommend that you view this Artist Talk in speaker mode rather than gallery mode so that the person who's talking appears large on your screen. Before we start our conversation, we want you to know that you're welcome and encouraged to participate by writing questions to the artist or our curator in the chat section. We'll save time near the end of the hour to go through those questions, but feel free to post them at any time and just let us know if you're addressing a particular artist. I'm Rachel Daly, Artistry's Director of Visual Arts. Artistry is a multidiscipline, nonprofit arts organization based in the Bloomington Center for the Arts. Like all arts organizations, the past year has brought challenges to Artistry's programming, but we're proud of the visual art exhibits that we've been able to produce and share with the community, as well as the addition of virtual arts experiences, such as this Artist Talk. We're excited about a new partnership with the Minnesota Valley National Wildlife Refuge to program their newly rebranded Confluence Gallery. We're grateful for the continued online art education programming that we've been able to provide that benefits our Bloomington community as well as communities throughout the state. In fact, our summer art camp offerings were recently listed on our website and are now open for registration. And of course, our theater programming is itching to get back on stage and into the Schneider Theater to share our high quality musical theater productions once again. For information on these and other artistry highlights, please visit our website, artistrymn.org. It is my pleasure and honor to work with some of our region's most talented visual artists and guest curators. That is certainly the case with our current curator, Christopher E. Harrison. Christopher is an active and prolific painter, sculptor, public artist, and graphic designer. He has exhibited locally, nationally, and internationally. Christopher works with the Walker Art Center and out of his studio in North Minneapolis. His work has been supported with grant funding by the Jerome Foundation, the Minnesota State Arts Board, the City of Minneapolis, and MRAC's Next Step Fund. Christopher was the recipient of a 2019 Elizabeth Murray Artist Foundation residency. He has also been a member of Artistry's curatorial review panel 2 years running and was invited to be our 2021 guest curator. Thank you, Christopher, for your many talents, for taking on this curatorial challenge, and for bringing your vision to Artistry. As we watch a slideshow of the Unfurled exhibit, I'm hoping you will share a bit about why you selected the theme and the title Unfurled, as well as these 5 talented artists, Filippo Diwali, Roshan Ganu, Lissa Carpe, Alonzo Pantoya, and Su Yao Tian. I'll pass it on to Christopher, our moderator for tonight's panel discussion. Thank you.
Well, first I'd like to thank Rachel and the Artistry Gallery and the Bloomington Art Center in Bloomington, Minnesota for this great opportunity. I'm very honored to be able to show the works of these great young artists. As we're all aware, these are challenging times. As an artist, I believe that different possibilities, different visions, along with the right kind of energy can change minds and change lives. New ideas and perspectives on how we perceive and hope for change in the world for the benefit of all can be communicated through the power of art. So with this show, I wanted to provide a venue for these young voices to be seen and heard. The artists in Unfurled share their experiences via a variety of creative mediums, whether it's from the paintings of Su Yao, Filippo, and Lissa, Alonzo's sculpture, or Roshan's installation and video. They create emotional and ideological bonds between them and the viewer. Art from fresh perspectives can give us a time to reflect on what's important and dear. And Unfurled strives to present art that can be a catalyst to new beginnings. So basically, I've known these artists from the arts community. Some of them I've met through there, and like Alonzo, we work together at the Walker Art Center, um, and I really respect their work and their craftsmanship and their imagination and creativity. So as I said, it's an honor for me to be able to show their work. And so if you haven't been to the show, definitely get out there and see it. It'll be definitely worth the trip. So I guess we can just start with the questions. So we'll start by just asking each one of the artists to introduce themselves, and then share either a favorite medium, a tool, or technique that they use in their studio practice. So let's start with, we'll start with Alonzo.
Hello, everyone. And thank you, Chris, for having me be part of this exhibition. And it's been great. And I will echo what you said about getting out there to see it, because I think it's a unique experience that I think complements each of our practices that I honestly didn't think it would in the way that it would. I'm Alonzo Punto. I use he, they pronouns, and I primarily work in fiber installation. And I guess I'm interested in spaces and what they mean as a queer body, and how do I navigate around those comforting spaces and whatnot. And the medium that I use primarily is weaving, and that's kind of what I have back here. Is these looms are the ones that I use. I create rainbow weavings, and that's what the show mainly has. And a little bit it has a more formal that speak a little bit to my other practice. I think I'll hold off and address it, the other question. And yeah, I think I will leave it at there, and then hopefully get more in there. But thank you again for including me in the show.
Okay, Roshan. Oh, you must be muted.
Still not used to it. Hi, everyone. My name is Roshan Ganu. And like Alonzo said, thank you, Christopher and Rachel, for having me in the show. I'm very excited and happy to meet the other artists as well, some of who I knew before and some I'm meeting literally on this panel discussion. So nice to meet you all. So my name is Roshan Ganu. I am a mixed media storyteller. And I came up with that title because I found it insufficient to fit myself in one vertical. My main medium is storytelling. So usually I start off with a story, and bringing that story to life is what I try to do. The main medium that I use is, like I said, it's mixed media, but I would say the main medium I use is paper mache, and it's a laborious process of creating paper pulp from existing, specifically newspapers. I worked as a journalist for a little bit, and I guess this is my way of using my journalism degree. And I create this paper pulp and build my sculptures out of them. Other than actually building the object, animation is another medium that is very prevalent in my studio practice. And I can speak more maybe with the other questions.
Okay, Suyao.
Let me unmute it. So is that talk about what I use the medium or
Yep. Just a little bit about your medium and techniques and
Okay.
how you use it in your studio.
Sure. First, nice to meet you, everyone here, and especially the two of our artists I haven't met before. And first, and thank you, Chris. Thank you, Rachel, and then give us this wonderful opportunity. I'd be really honored to participate in this show with all these fantastic artists. So my media, I was in school in MCAT doing MFA. I was a designer. But after that, I started painting every single day, basically, literally. And then every day I paint a little bit, started. So what I use, I see majority is watercolor, and it's specifically watercolor ink. As probably you guys can see, kind of, oops. Probably generally you guys use this, see this and before, and then I use the majority like this, and so 80%. And the other 20% I tweaked with details and all that layers, as you maybe most of you guys already visit the show in the gallery, you see the little details, and so that layers is created by mixed media, different pens and pencil, color pencil, inks, or whatever you can think about. I think I used all, basically everything I can use, except the digital stuff I put in there. But yeah, and then we can talk about it more later.
All right, great, thanks. Filippo.
Hey everyone, it's finally great to meet everyone. Thank you for including me in this show. It's been amazing to see such a diverse types of works. So it's pretty cool. And my name is Filippo Diauli. I'm a painter, illustrator. I work out of the Northrop King building, the Studio 400. And I primarily work on canvas and acrylic. And in the past year, I've been building up from smaller works to larger and larger works. Yeah, and the main tools, I guess, favorite tool that I do use, I would say, is my paints. Specifically, I try to blend the heavy type of paint versus a more fluid type of acrylic paint. I've tried oil before, but it's definitely not for me, at least not yet. So, yeah.
Okay, awesome. Okay, and Lissa.
Hello. Oh, just hold on. Hi everyone. My name is Lissa Carpe. I am a Liberian American artist based here in Minneapolis. So I believe the questions are medium, technique. So I use a lot of painting. I like oil and acrylic mixture. I also like charcoal. So I do a lot of charcoal on the canvas. And I kind of like how that bleeds into the paint and it becomes this older antique type of look. So I really like a lot of that. And I like a lot of, I do a lot of drawing, and the mistakes that I make in my drawings, I like that to be seen next to the color. So I don't necessarily get rid of it. So yeah, those are the things that I like. How do I use it in the studio? So a lot of my work, I take a lot of photos from Facebook of people in my community, my family. Technically, I don't really stick to like defining them as much. I usually like the position that they're in. So I copy that position and then use it to have the conversations that I'm having in my work. Yeah, so was that all the questions?
Okay. Oh, no, that's great. No, that's great.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Okay, but we still have a couple more questions, so.
Okay.
Okay. So, well, could each of you tell us a little bit about the body of work that you have in the exhibit? So, this time we'll start with Roshan.
Thank you, Chris, for that question. The title of my piece in the exhibition is The Banyan Tree Project. And what you see in the exhibition is the tree and the animation. So that specifically is a piece in itself, but I'd like to speak to the broader context of that piece. It's called the Banyan Tree Project. It is an ongoing project where I installed this banyan tree in different spaces in Minneapolis and hopefully elsewhere. And the timelessness of that, I hope for that to be the broader context of the piece based on where it's installed, who interacts with it, who becomes a part of it, who tells a story underneath it, who tells a story to it. And with this context in mind, placing this piece in the broader context, the more specific context, the one that you have seen at Artistry in Bloomington, is a story for the first time that I tell about the tree and my relationship with the tree. A little bit about that background is I'm from Goa. It's on the west coast of India. And a banyan tree has a lot of, it is a cultural object. It is known for its storytelling abilities. It houses ancestors. It is a refuge for travelers that are going from one village to the other, or walking from one place to the other. And the banyan tree inhabits all of these stories. So if you derive that connection between the travelers and their stories towards the banyan tree, that is my relationship with it. Yeah, I think this particular piece in the show, it is an autobiographical story that there's a girl called Pilu, and she lives near Spy House in Minneapolis, and she sees a real banyan tree growing right outside Spy House. This hybrid state that a foreigner finds themselves in, or an immigrant finds themselves in, I would say is the underlying subtext of it. When I moved here, it was a foreign land. It was so unfamiliar, and the process that I tried to, or more like a framework I try to develop through this piece, is a solution to how a space can become place, that how a person can build a relationship with a space and make it into a more home-like place. And my proposition, which I've said in the artist statement for this piece, is that maybe we can just project a cultural object from our past onto the present reality. So in this case, a banyan tree onto a very Midwestern landscape, and thus attempt or try to find a sense of home in this new environment.
Great. And you also have a video too, kind of an animation that goes along with it, right?
Yes, that's right. That's the autobiographical story, and the tree in the animation has been constructed based on the tree you see physically in the space.
Awesome, great, thanks. Next, we'll go with we'll go back to Lissa.
Could you repeat the question? I'm sorry, I can't hear you. I don't know why this is not working.
Okay, can you tell us a little bit about the body of work you have in the exhibit?
Okay, yeah, sure. So the body of work that I have, the ones on paper on poster board, the smaller works, they were mostly experiments on that material. So I started off just like exploring different notions that wasn't completely tied to my culture. And so, for instance, one of the pieces called Bella, well, Bella, for instance, is a painting that I did of my niece. She was in the studio with me, and so I did a painting of my niece, and testing out those poster boards and not thinking about the fabric. I mean, not thinking about canvas. And then the second piece that kind of drifted a little bit away from my culture and just kind of had a different conversation, which is the conversation about Africans and Black Americans, is the 799 piece, where I kind of actually, well, in this piece, I kind of actually had a conversation about how, as Black women, we buy these products usually sold by the Chinese community through the beauty supply store. And I was trying to, I was just like experimenting that subject on how we are the highest paying consumers, but yet, we're, the women that are buying these products, live in a lot of poverty communities and things like that. So that's what I was doing on these poster boards. We're really just experimenting these different ideas and notions and conversations that I tend to have with people that I'm around that are important to me. And then in the larger piece on canvas, that was more of that conversation towards Black American and Black American and Africans. So within my identity, being a Liberian American, I fall in between that two-ness. And then that's kind of what I like to investigate in my work. So for instance, I would see just, going down the street, I would see two African-American boys just shaking it up and things like that, just on a corner on a block. So I would use that and bring that conversation into the studio to talk about these two different worlds, especially when I would see people from my Liberian community be the ones on the block, mimicking Black American culture, but then also having this extended history of being African. So all those complexities and things like that is what I explore in my work, and I bring color to it so that the conversation is a little bit easier to digest. So yeah.
Great. Yeah, we'll jump to Alonzo.
Yeah, so I have five pieces in the exhibition. 4 of them are more purely formal experimentation that I typically don't, or I consider as an adjacent practice to my practice. And then the larger one, which is a rainbow weaving, that's the one that's on wheels. That one was part of my thesis, and that one is more directly related to my practice. Speaking about queerness, orientation, impermanence, a lot of my work has a short living existence. I like to recycle my materials. So the ones on the left here, and I like to recycle the threads and fibers that I make these weavings as a way to think about the malleability of the way that I see queerness or the potential that it can be. And so that's sort of where these stem from. They also stem from my former background in painting and drawing, which is where I initially started as an artist, and then I quickly changed, adapted into fiber installation, which is currently where I am now. I've always been fascinated with texture and color, and that's like the two formal elements that always carried throughout my practice or practices. And so I'm always interested in thinking about the layers of colors that in the same way that you think about layering a painting, where you start with the background, middle ground, and then foreground. That's the way that I sort of come about my work. Even when I'm making installation-based work, I think about how the viewer enters a space, walks around, and then exits, and where do they shift their body weight? Where does the body rest? I'm very interested in that. And I tend to be in a space when I'm installing the work 2-3 weeks, just observing the space, the way that the light comes into the space, and then intersecting my weavings as placeholders for my queerness. So yeah.
Hey, awesome, awesome. We'll go to Filippo.
All right. So I picked a few different pieces for this because I wanted to kind of portray progression from the few years, but also maybe different themes that I explore. It's kind of hard to talk about all the different themes within just one painting. So I guess if you go from the left, that's Kendrick Lamar. I painted that when the album came out, the album Damn. And to anyone who has listened to it, can appreciate how amazing his work is. And I'm almost always, music is one of the things that inspires me, and I'm almost always envious of artists and their ability to connect to people. So I wanted to kind of portray, I guess, my vision of what I saw in the album and who Kendrick is to me, kind of a bold African-American figure who's a lyricist. So that's why I included the words in, within there too, because I usually try to avoid words and go more with just visuals, but there's a few exceptions. So this is the oldest work actually I have, probably maybe 3 years ago. And the next one, can talk about any precision. So next one, I would probably say the dance painting, the one all the way on the right, is one of the most recent ones. So this was commissioned for the Cowles Dance Center. And they wanted to basically capture movement and what is coming up next for them and their programming. I've never made anything like this before. It was supposed to be a poster, and basically I've never made anything about dance. I don't know much about dance other than my own limited abilities. And I just wanted to portray some kind of motion while still using color. And then of course, showcasing all the different types of dances that are available. And when I did my research, it was most of the things that came up were, the typical posters or silhouettes of people breakdancing or, doing ballet. So I wanted to do something a little bit different, kind of showcase the theater stage with the lights on the side and the seat, red seats. Keep it simple, but so you still know what they are, and still showcase the kind of the dancers coming out to show the world who they are. And you can see there's an abundance of brown skinned people. That's something I've been very clear on in my work since the beginning, just to represent Black bodies. And I could talk about one more. I would say the larger one is Come On In, The Water Is Fine. That's the title of it. And I made that over the summer and into the fall. And basically, I feel like things around us were kind of crumbling, falling apart, with the pandemic and protests. And my way of escaping, I usually obviously go to a museum or nature. And I wanted to portray my siblings and I in a state that isn't on alert or kind of always vigilant or always in a worry. So, we took a summer trip up north to Lake Superior, and this was a product of it to show, I guess, my appreciation of nature, but also I think we all have different fears between me and my siblings of what water means to us. So I have a lot of themes that I explore, a lot of paintings with water that I explore this dynamic. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
And Suyao.
Hi. So actually, instead of talking about the specific piece in this show, I'm just gonna talk about the whole, because this is several pieces I show in the show is part of my whole series. So my paintings actually, if to myself, it's a whole series, whole lifelong series painting. It's just ongoing project. If I see the way, yeah. So it's the idea behind it is I grew up in northern China. I'm born and raised in China in around 80. So 80 is, we have the enforced the one child policy. So I don't have a siblings. I don't have a sister, brothers. I cannot even have a puppies when I was kids. So this way I kind of communicate to the world. So outside my room is I bring my mom's jar and wash them out and just go to the nature, go on the street, pick up anything I'm interested. I call them, I pick up trash every day. Basically, my mom said, pick up the trash every day, put in the jar and come back and dump in table to talk to them on and then play with them. So in this way, the memory and later on appeared to my painting, basically, like you guys can see on my painting. It's so that's why I say it's a lifelong, I think it's a lifelong ongoing project. It's a part of a faded memory. It's my imagination. Also, it's my subconscious thinking. It's in this painting. So my paintings not try to, well, first, my paintings not try to give them like two different meaning, which is I always against maybe, you know, that art of so many great artists here. I'm not, so I always against like to forcing the idea or forcing the meaning to the work. So I try to go with the nature way, with this, my feeling or what I'm, so what do you see is what I'm doing. If it's that clear. So like you say, and most of not most, every my work is actually related to the internal question, which is who we are and where we are. So I try not to give an answer. None of my painting is try to kind of find the result or, you know, answer, but it's always kind of bring the question, the simple and it's like around us, the little things, which is how the bird flies, how water goes, why go this way, why not that way, you know, the simple questions around us. And especially I think it's coming from our heart, coming from our every single day, the daily life, coming from every single person. It's not only for artists. So I feel like my art is for everybody. It was that it's not for specific audience. It's not for try to speak to what. it's a try to hug everyone. If it's that, so I use the really colorful, kind of joyful idea and the feeling, so everyone can feel the joy, can feel the peaceful, can feel the balance from their heart when they see my work. That is the goal of my painting as an artist. I think this is the most important thing to me as an artist, as a human being. So yes, in our life, we always have this and that, right? And also I have a specific things I want to say, but I always feel, painful things, especially COVID, especially recently the hate crime. I hate that, right? But at the same time is, this is a part of our life, our human life. So I try to think, how to say, beyond that. I try to think what is our basic need. So it's like, especially when I have my kid, and my kid is 9 months old, I was trying to say, what is he want? So I try to talk to my husband, what do we want our kids become or have? Is our question, actually, if we only choose one, it's happiness. So that's what my thinking is. I used to try to force all kinds of idea to my work. But more I do that, more it feels like awkward. So yeah, so it really kind of like this pandemic, the pandemic thing, the COVID hit us so bad. Every people feeling it, every people suffering it. But we also learning from that. We also review. We also have a pause the time to review us, to ask us our self question: what is the most important? It's backwards, almost thinking like what is important? It's a family. It's a happiness, right? For everybody, it's a happiness. So that's why I say that's most key idea my work is about. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
So as also part of the show I showing is, well, it's to bring the joy and bring the peaceful, bring the balance, and to let people review themselves. And every single time I show, it's actually my conversation with people. Yeah. So I don't want it to kind of separate. In this show, I do this, and that show I do that. But it's a whole idea, if that makes sense.
Right. Great. Awesome. Thank you. Okay. In terms of your current art practice, what are you working on now? And what are you most excited for the coming year? Let's go to Lissa. Oh, can you hear me, Lissa?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. What are you most excited for in the coming year, and what are you working on now?
I'm most excited on growing my body of, well, I think I'm done with so the newer body of work is exploring the color red and how red has this alertness to it and emergency, and putting context, putting images that call for your attention next to red, so that viewers don't just walk past it, they want to get engaged. So that's the series that I've been working on. So this coming year, I'm looking forward to expanding that some more, and probably breaking some more ground and getting to somewhere else in my work, with all that's happened with this pandemic, and also with the George Floyd situation, has definitely caused me to think outside of myself as an artist. Sometimes as artists, we have a tendency to just be in our heads. And so what the past year has taught me is to move, to think about community more. So now my work is just, kind of exploring this sense of belonging, right? What does belonging mean? What is it? What does it entail? So that's what I'm exploring more, and using the ways in which I create work, plus that conversation of belonging, and pushing that forward. So that's what I'm excited for, to see where that takes me. So yeah.
Great. Okay, Roshan.
This year, I'm actually working on expanding the banyan tree project a little more. And so far, I've used these mixed media or different disciplines to bring one story to life. But I think one thing that I want to explore this year is to actually make these media interact with each other. So I am working on something where the animation will interact with the tree, and then the people who are coming to see the work can interact with the animation and the tree. I think, like Lisa said, this past year also has brought my attention to how important community is to me. I just never realized that. But I moved here in 2018 in August, and way before the pandemic began, isolation was a part of my existence here. Being far away from family, the winter here is quite particular. And just isolation has been a part of my existence for a while now. So I think, which is why all my pieces like are meant to be experienced alone, or if possible, or if usually in the work as well, there's usually just one character kind of exploring isolation themselves. And I think Pilu is doing that in the piece, in the show as well. But I think moving forward, bringing in more community in the work. And I have a show coming up in fall, so that gives me a good platform to explore these two characteristics I want to work with.
Awesome, great. Congratulations on the show.
Thank you.
Okay, Filippo, what are you working on now, and what are you most excited?
Yeah, right now I am working on getting a few products out. So keep an eye out on, maybe I'm trying to do something different than prints and paintings, to have accessible work. So maybe t-shirt, maybe tote bags. Yeah, keep an eye out. And then I'm setting up Artwell for my own studio in Studio 400, but also just planning overall with Nima. And then upcoming, I'm in the works of setting up murals. I'm like really trying to do murals this summer. So if any of y'all know anyone, send them my way. So yeah, I'm just trying to do some practicing and do research about murals and reach out to muralists. So yeah.
Great, great. Okay, Alonzo.
Yeah, if you would have asked me this question at the beginning of the year, I would have said I'm excited for Aries season. But we're currently in Aries season, so we'll let that, I'll put a pin on that. But I'm excited for, I've been teaching sort of throughout the city, and that's been keeping me occupied at the moment, and then just making things, and then being able to gather virtually with students and talk about their practice and engagements. And in that same mindset, I'm also excited to see more of those happen this upcoming year. In the fall. I haven't been busy making as much work as I've been wanting to. I graduated in May of 2020. And then with COVID, we had to like expand or extend our thesis exhibition. And that was like, that finally wrapped up in October of 2020. And that was like the last thing that I made. And so I haven't made anything since then, which I guess is pretty typical after graduating, but I'm excited to get back into that mode of making things and what have you. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm excited for.
Cool, very cool. And Suyao.
Well, me, first of all, for myself and to what am I working on? I don't have so many goals this year because I try to keep up everything. It's already hard for me because I need to work at the same time and take care of my 9 months. It's a lot of work because yeah, I still a little bit afraid to put him in daycare. And also it's very crucial, important time for him to be with, I think, be with me, some part of it. And the other thing, I also work on the projects I can handle, and there's probably potentially, yeah, it's already settled. It will be wallpaper coming out soon. Yeah, it's very exciting, and then I will show you guys later on soon. And also, well, hope I can do that and extension the size of my painting. So I already reached the point, which is I have the limited room. So see what I can do to make them size and bigger work and more challenge. So, and yeah, this is what I'm working on, probably make some artist books and stuff like that. So I'm working on that, and I have a little bit design work, not too much in design work, a little bit design work too for the design things, and maybe that's side of the thing I will talk about at a time. Most exciting, well, that make me cry. I won't.
That's okay. That's all right.
I want everybody to be able to hug each other.
Right.
Sorry. Without.
Oh yeah, we'll definitely get there.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
It's not only the virus, it's also please love each other. We are all human beings. Yeah, that's what I can say. Sorry.
Oh no, that's
yeah.
no.
That's I think.
We should all give each other an air hug since we can't hug.
Yeah, I know, right?
So,
yeah, I'm sending it through the internet. So
sorry, I got a little emotion about it. Sorry,
that's what it's all about. And you know, I think with this show, for me, it's bringing not just the artwork together, but people together too. And I think that in these times, that's really what we need, because the powers that be are trying to keep us apart. So now's the time when we really need to try to come together when we can, and speak to each other, and express how we feel to each other, because I think that'll make us a lot stronger community. So
exactly.
yeah, and I think art can do that. It can bring us together that way.
Exactly.
So I
I'm
think
thinking there are people say, if there's a heaven, we all go heaven and to love each other. But I was thinking, this is my thinking. If you cannot love each other on earth, how the hell are you gonna love each other on heaven?
right.
So.
Yeah, exactly. So you have to do it while you have the chance.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you very much for that. Thank you very much. Okay, well, we have a few more minutes left, so I'm going to see if anyone has any questions in the audience for any of the artists or for myself. You can put it in the chat, I think. Is that okay, Rachel? Or do you want them to actually just ask?
Yeah, I think we can write in the chat. We've got one question. It's so far, it's directed to Filippo. It says, I was struck by how the eyes in several of your paintings caught my attention. Are eyes something you are giving special attention to in these pieces?
Yes, yes. Yeah, thank you for recognizing that. I think I've been trying to blend between like realistic paintings and illustrative paintings, and one way to do that so that it makes it look appealing but also inviting, especially when you're drawing humans, is the eyes, because you know, it's cliche, but the eyes is the windows to the soul. You know, if I'm drawing a family member, someone I love, who I know very well, I will definitely spend 3 or more hours on the eyes, just because, you know, when they walk by it, they should immediately be struck and know that, or anyone who knows them, know that that's, you know, this person. So I definitely can't finish a painting without paying special attention to the eyes. Good question.
Are there any other questions from our audience or from the artists to each other or to Chris? Chris, did you want to say anything as we wrap up here? And
No, yeah, I just, you know, you never know what you're going to, you know, get when you try and do a, you know, a project like this, when you bring together different artists, you know. And I feel very fortunate that, for one, that the artists wanted to participate, and also, you know, how great the show turned out. So, yeah, it's I think it's you know, good that in these times we can, you know, commune like this, you know, even though it is over you know, over the computer or whatever. But I also think that, you know, the work as a whole also speaks as well. And you know, you know, I hope the artists enjoyed the show, and you know, I look forward to you know, so seeing more work from them in the future.
great. We do have one quick question for you, Chris, that popped up. Color seems to be a big part in everyone's work. Was it a factor in your selecting of the artists?
Maybe unconsciously it was, but it wasn't, you know, intentional. But you know, I like to use color in my work as well. So you know, I think color really kind of excites the mind, and it really makes you know, makes you feel in what you experience. So I think you know, it's colors a great thing to have, especially, you know, in these times. It's good to have something that, you know, can energize you, you know, and you know, and kind of bring you up, pick you up. So, and I yeah, and I feel,
Something color is welcoming everyone.
right, right. Yeah, 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 it can be very welcoming. So, and then very very talkative. So I think that that's a good thing to have these days.
And then one last question, Chris, can you tell us how you found all of your artists?
Well, as I said earlier, you know, it's just being in the community. You know, just, you know, well, before the pandemic, you know, I always go to shows and you know, exhibits and talks and things like that, you know, and I meet people there. And you know, I think that that's important. I know there's this stereotype that, you know, artists always hold up in their studios working and you know, starving and whatnot. But I, from what I've seen, I think it's more important to go out there and experience life, because that feeds your creativity. You know, you can only do so much, you know, in your room or in your house, but you have to get out there and live life. And that can add to your practice, you know, from meeting other artists, other people, you know, experiencing other things in other countries, you know, whether it's watching a movie or reading a good book or just not doing anything. I mean, you know, that's how, you know, you can, you know, become more creative. And fortunately here in the Twin Cities, there's a lot of that happening, a lot of creative, interesting people. So I'm glad that, I was able to bring together these artists, for this show.
Well, gosh, we all are as well. Thank you so much to you, Christopher, for bringing your vision to artistry, for bringing these artists together, and for participating in this panel discussion. And to our artists, thank you for sharing your work with us, and also for opening up yourselves to letting us get a little bit more information from you about yourself and your work and your process. So thank you everyone for being here tonight and sharing a little bit of yourselves with us. Thank you to our audience so much for joining us tonight. And we also want to acknowledge and thank the Minnesota State Arts Board for their continued support of this exhibit and all artistry programming through an operating support grant, thanks to a legislative appropriation from the Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund. Please remember that Unfurled runs through April 2nd, and you can go visit it in person, so please do. For more information and gallery hours, which are pretty extensive into the evenings, although not unfortunately on the weekend, but they are listed on our website, artistrymn.org. We hope to see you all in the galleries real soon. Thanks everyone, have a great night.
Yeah, and also too, check out everybody on social media also. Everybody's on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, whatever.
Yes, and there's a great video we just got, and it's going to be on our website tomorrow. So check that out as well on this show and the artist. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, thanks, everybody.